This is Myra Elaine on the Buying Space channel. Today, I am in Exodus 20 in the Torah, and I am starting in verse 12. And we are in the middle talking about the 10 Commandments. Now, as I said in the previous week, the first 4 commandments, to put no other gods before God, not making any graven image, not to take the Lord's name in vain, and to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. All of those commandments are about your relationship with God and what God expects from us as far as our relationship with Him. Now, the next commandment, starting in verse 12, is honor thy father and thy mother, in order that thy days may be prolonged upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So, in this commandment, we see a restatement of living on the land that the Lord is giving. A lot of people interpret this as that you will have a long life. And I do think that it means that if you honor your father and mother, one of the things that happens is your parents were also young. And they learned through trial and error and experience. So by listening to them and not making the same mistakes they did, you're going to have less stress in your life. If you have good, decent parents that love you, that want the best for you, not everybody gets that. You get wise counsel from your parents if you listen to them. And even parents that haven't been always there for you or exemplary, or even parents that maybe have committed crimes, they have learned from their environment. And if they're willing to talk to you about how they ended up in jail or what went wrong in their life, you should also listen to that, because advice on how to behave yourself in life can be more powerful if it's a negative life. Now, I'm not saying if you have a drug addicted parent that you should buy them drugs because that's what they want. It's not what I'm saying. Absolutely do no harm. Absolutely practice tough love with those you have to practice tough love with. But by honoring, in that situation, I mean listening and learning from. But if you have parents that have honestly done their best, and maybe they've gotten a little trouble here, a little trouble there, but they're not perfect, but they're still striving, those parents should be honored, absolutely honored. It doesn't actually make an exception in the Bible to who your parents are, whether you should honor them or not. It says, honor thy father and thy mother. But also, the second part of this verse, that the days may be long upon the earth. That thy days may be prolonged upon the land which the Lord God giveth thee. think reading this from the direct English translation from the Hebrew, I think this is also alluding to the Jewish people's promise and covenant to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. I think it's not only talking about long life because you'll have less strife if you build upon the wisdom of the prior generation, but I also believe it's talking about the lament. These laws were written for God's people. And I think if you're Jewish and you're in Israel and you're not following the 10 Commandments, I think this is an additional covenant for the Jewish people. Now, but it's conditional. The first covenant with Abraham, that from his seed, that and from all of his descendants, the entire earth would be blessed. Well, that's the Messiah. But also, he promised them the promised land because they were returning to the same lands that were inhabited by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob when he was young, before he was sold off to slavery in Egypt. The Canaanite land. Now, the next commandment is thou shalt not kill. And it's the 5th commandment. And I have learned that there are 7 Hebrew words for murder. Now, I honestly could not find a Hebrew word in here that is in verse 13 that is the 5th commandment, because I don't know the numbers. I know nothing about Hebrew as far as reading it, but I've heard that there are 7 different words for kill. Like killing in the time of war would be different than doing a premeditated murder. And many modern translations of this have the word thou shalt not murder. It can't be kill, because the Bible speaks of capital punishment. When you get into the Levitical laws, it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth and a life for a life. So the judges of the Israeli people killed people that committed certain crimes. They did kill. But it's not premeditated murder without justification. If you're a society, you can't have people murdering each other right and left. There has to be law and order. And there has to be deterrence. They couldn't, wandering around in the desert for 40 years, have a portable prison. Now, could they? And even today, now, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I personally am not for the death penalty. because the system can be wrong, the system can be flawed in our modern society, and there are times that people are convicted of murder unjustly. It happens. But I do believe in capital punishment for those who do rape and murder, or who do multiple murders, or who do mass murder. And the difference between mass murder and multiple murder is that this person has murdered somebody, and then one week, and then the next week, or the next month, or the next year, murdered someone else. So, murder is a pattern of behavior with this person. And they've been incarcerated, they've been to therapy. All of these things did not work, and they murdered again. That's a multiple murder. Of course, a mass murder is the person that went into a South Carolina church and killed people in church while they were worshiping God. That's mass murder. Shot everybody he could. That's mass murder. I believe that deserves the death penalty. I just think that the person who has committed murder after murder after murder is not reformable. And given the opportunity again, will murder again. The same with rapists who also murder their victims and the witnesses or anyone they need to protect themselves from being known as a rapist or a child rapist. That individual is extremely dangerous, and I believe the death penalty is justified in that case. But if a person commits one murder, especially with extenuating circumstances, they should just go to prison. Like somebody catches their spouse cheating on them, and they get so angry they go off and snap somebody's neck. That's a different situation, because that person was only a danger to the person that they've already murdered. And that's my opinion on capital punishment. But this verse, thou shalt not kill, because we grew up, and all of us that were in denominations that studied from Bibles, that this said kill, and not from whatever the original Jewish word for this is, that really means murder. We had some things askewed in our lives because of it. Some people, after they empathized with animals, became vegetarians because thou shalt not kill. Because it doesn't say thou shalt not kill humans, but obviously it didn't mean that, because the Jewish people sacrificed animals to God. So it obviously didn't mean that. The Israelis went to war, and at one point in the Bible, God tells the Jewish people to wipe out another group of people. And he said to kill all the men, all the women, all the children, all of their livestock, to kill them all. And King Saul decided upon himself that he was not going to obey God and kill all of these people and all of their livestock. And guess what? The descendants of those people are the Arabs that lived in the Gaza Strip. I kid you not. The people that identify as Palestinians today, and I have an objection to them identifying as Palestinians, but those Arabs, because there's Arabs and there's Jews in the area. Everyone that lives in the Palestinian Peninsula could be called a Palestinian. It's a geographical term, not a cultural term. But anyway, all of those people, God had ordered their destruction with King Saul, and he disobeyed. Do you see the level of destruction that has been wrought in the last 6 months because of King Saul's disobedience to God? So obviously, this thou shalt not kill does not apply to warfare at all. And when I was an atheist, myself and other atheists would point to this verse that says, thou shalt not kill. And now that we have the consequences of what has happened after October 7th, 2023, people are saying that the Jewish people are disobeying the Ten Commandments. It's war. They're protecting themselves. They have an entire mass population that wants them dead. If somebody calls me that I know and they say, I hate you, I'm going to kill you, and I ignore it, and then they come and they kill the neighborhood cat, the feral cat that we feed, and then they come back and they trample on my plants, they kill my plants, and they keep coming back and doing destructive things. At the very first time that this person said that they hated me and they were going to kill me, I should have believed them. And I have the right of self-defense. And if that person, after threatening me like that, came in the door, unannounced, uninvited, trespassing, I would have the right to kill them. And that would not be murder, because I would be defending my own life or my child's life. And that's justified. You are allowed to survive. I wasn't going to gloss over thou shalt not kill, because I think it's in the next chapter. Maybe by the end of this chapter. Oh, I need to go this way. The Hebrews, the children of Israel, when Moses comes down off the mountain, they're violating one of the first 4 commandments. They've made a graven image to a deity that's in the shape of a calf. Now, there's much debate over what deity it is, because there's an Egyptian deity who was a bull, and there's ASPE, I think, or IE, and there's Molosh, who was a bull. And I think the one that's ASPIE is an oxen. And there are other deities. Baal has also been presented in graven images as a bull figure. So it's multiple choice on which deity they were worshiping. But they weren't just taking the gold that they got when they came out of Egypt and shaping it into a bull just to be fanciful, just because they like bulls and they want to collect bulls. They were worshiping that bull and the deity that it represented. And Moses got a little angry about that, but we will read about that later. I just wanted to point out that the thou shalt not kill The true meaning of it is thou shalt not murder. And I want you all to go to check the Bibles that you have in your home or your Torah. And I want you to look and see whether it says kill or murder. Thought I had a pen over here. Now, I love this Torah. I worship this Torah, but it's one of my favorite things, obviously, since I read from it. But I am going to get a pen. I'll do that before the next reading. And I'm going to mark out kill, and I'm going to write murder. And if I can ever figure out which one of these Hebrew words means murder, I'm going to circle it, because I think this is highly important. This misinterpretation has caused people to make decisions in their life. There is a movie about a young man who was from a Christian denomination that his Bible said, thou shalt not kill. And he went to war as a pacifist. Now, he ended up being very heroic, and I respect that he followed his beliefs. But how much different would his life have been if he read this and was told that this Hebrew word for kill was really a different kind of kill? It was murder. People need to know what the law is. People need to study the Bible. People need to know the 10 Commandments. Obviously, he knew the 10 Commandments, but his Bible said, thou shalt not kill. And he didn't know. Maybe it was a good thing that he interpreted that way, because he ended up being a hero. But we don't have to live our lives thinking that mass murders can't be put to death or lethally injected in our society. We need to have a deterrent for people committing multiple murders or mass murders or rape murders. Because we can't live with lawlessness in our society. Nobody, no nation can stand that. And you have a right to self-defense. If somebody comes in that door to try to kill me, I'm going to try to kill them. I have a right to survive. How messed up would it be if I allowed someone to come into this house and kill me? What about my family? And even if I had no family, I have a right to life. And I don't have to let anybody kill me, because this says thou shalt not kill. This is thou shalt not murder. If somebody comes in my door to murder me, and I kill them in self-defense, I'm justified in doing that. And so are you. As a Christian, you have a right to defend your life and limb. If you are called to war by your government, and you go out on the battlefield and you kill other people, you are not committing murder. It's a different kind of killing. Just like lethal injection, just like self-defense, it doesn't violate the 10 Commandments. I will continue next week with thou shalt not steal. You'll have a wonderful and blessed day.